Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending our webinar today. We're just going to wait a couple minutes to have some more people trickle in, and then we'll get started. So just hang tight. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today on building an award-winning Torch Awards entry. So, my name is Evan Arnold Gordon. I'm a public relations specialist.
And my name is Kenneth Mitchell. I am the marketing supervisor.
So like we said here, we got our presentation on building an award-winning entry for you. And without further ado, let's get started. So what we're going to cover today. So first, we'll start with what is the BBB, who we are, Torch Awards overview, eligibility, how to apply and that process to go through, the judging process, the criteria that the judging process is based on, and of course, what you will win. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about us and who we are here at the BBB. So what is the BBB? The BBB helps people find and recommend businesses, brands, and charities they can trust. We're an unbiased nonprofit organization that sets and upholds fair and honest business behavior. Our mission is to be the leader in advancing marketplace trust. And our vision is an ethical marketplace where buyers and sellers trust each other. There's over 100 other business bureaus across the US, Canada, and Mexico. And our BBB serves 13 counties in the Bay Area and northern coastal California as well.
All right, thanks for that introduction, Evan. Right now, we're kind of going to go over an overview of what the program or competition entails. The Torch Awards competition was originally designed to celebrate ethical businesses and promote a fair and honest marketplace. In essence of our vision, the program recognizes marketplace role models for their commitment to ethical behavior, and the program also promotes a community of trustworthy businesses that consumers can rely on. All right, eligibility. So we're going to kind of go over, like, who can enter, what are the parameters that are set in place that we abide by for businesses that submit their entries and that are judged upon to select who is the Torch Awards winner. This award is not just limited to a particular kind of business. In fact, any for-profit business headquartered in our 13 county service area can enter. Our 13 counties include Alameda, San Mateo, San Francisco, Contra Costa, Solano, Napa, Sonoma, Marin, Humboldt, Lake, Mendocino, Trinity, and Del Norte. Again, accreditation is not required, but a business must maintain at least a B rating or better to qualify. Your business must have been in operation for at least 3 years and can not have won a Torch Award within the last 3 years that we've held this competition. Also, your business must not have any government affiliations.
So how to apply? You're ready to nominate somebody perhaps, or apply yourself. So it's all done online. You can go to go.bbb.org/SF Torch Awards for our specific Better Business Bureau. The form includes a save and resume later feature, so you don't have to worry about doing it all at once. You can come back to it when you have time. Businesses and customers can nominate a business using our online form. And of course, very importantly, it's free. It's completely free to do as well. And it's also due by Sunday, April 7th, 2019 this year, of course, by 5 p.m. So in a couple weeks, we're going to be closing our deadline, so make sure to start today and think about some businesses that may be worthy of nomination as well. So our judging process, there are 5 categories based on the total number of employees for each business. So for businesses with 1 to 10 employees, that's a different category. 11 to 49 employees, 50 to 99 employees, 100 to 499 employees, and 500 plus employees. We have an independent panel of judges that are objective. The judging criteria carries a maximum point value of 10 per each category, for a total of 60 points per entry per judge. We'll get into that criteria here in a little bit as well. And our judging period runs from April 7th to April 20th.
All right, so we're going to go over the criteria. As we discussed earlier, there's 6 judging criteria for these awards, which must be clearly laid out. If your entry, in your entry, those include your leadership commitment to ethical business practices, communication of ethical practices, those leadership practices that really unify the organization and bring you guys together and develop a positive ethical culture. Your organizational commitment to performance, as well as ethical human resource practices and commitment to the community. We're going to start off with kind of going over the first criteria that you're going to be submitting or in part of your entry. All right, leadership to ethical practices. Describing your organizational culture reflects its leaders' high character and integrity. Give details about how those ethical leaders show positive character traits as an essential guide to life and work. Some topic ideas that you may want to consider are a statement of the leaders or leadership team's personal code of ethics and how this code became personally significant or adopted by management and or the board of directors. You may also include a personal letter from the CEO or president or owner that includes a statement from his or her commitment to ethical business practices. You can also include a description or evidence of that leader's participation in workshops, conferences, or training in ethics. Now, we want to make sure that in each of these criteria that you include at least 2 or more examples. Some other suggested ideas can include coaching or mentoring and feedback assessments that demonstrate the leaders seek to improve their ethical leadership practices, how leaders or leader are transparent, they value candor or receive personal feedback from the organization or vendors or customers that include how much or how such feedback has led to personal change. Another thing that you may want to consider is including in this criteria as an example to support your statement is a public statement. It could be a speech, advertising, business material, or even maybe a publication that exemplifies the leader's commitment to ethics. Some other things that may be included that you might want to consider are case studies or stories of the leaders admitting to error or need of personal change and accepting responsibility and taking the corrective action. I mean, I think those things really exemplify what we're looking for in regards to your commitment to ethical practices.
So criteria 2, communication of ethical practices. So we want you to tell us how your leaders reinforce and build a culture of trust, and give examples of how leadership communicates with employees and stakeholders in ways that are consistent with their beliefs. Some topic ideas you could use are examples of situations in which your organization demonstrated ethical decision making. You can include the dilemma or problem faced by your organization, the possible choices you had for resolving the issue, the pros and cons of each option, and any resources that were consulted in the final outcome. There's also ethical practices, expectations documented in vendor relation manuals, customer policies, or stakeholder relations procedures, and common practices of identifying and or addressing violations of the organization's ethical code. So here's some suggested ideas as well for demonstrating this principle, and 2 or more are required as well. So how new employees, including part-time or contract employees, are informed and or trained in the organization's ethical policies, how the CEO or president or owner's personal code of ethics is communicated to employees, vendors, or customers, tools or activities that model, mentor, teach, and reinforce define character ethics as part of normal business or management practices, the use of a character code or content in management or employee meetings, what employees are taught or encouraged to do if others in the organization are not following the ethical code of the organization, how ethical behaviors of employees are identified and recognized, and examples of ethical challenges faced and how they were resolved. For criteria 3, we're primarily focused on leadership practices and how they unify the organization. So you can explain the whys of your organization. So why work here, why be a customer, why be a supplier, why we are who we are, or what makes your company different, unique, and special. So some topic ideas are how organizational statements such as vision, mission, core business values, culture description, or business purpose have been created and or used to unite the team. How these statements are shared with existing and potential employees is something else we're looking for. As you saw, we started the presentation with our mission and vision, and we harp on that every presentation and every time we're in the community to really reinforce that idea to consumers and businesses alike. So here's some more suggested ideas as well for demonstrating this. You can have examples of training and policies that assist employees and corporate officers in carrying out ethical practices and behaviors. Leadership practices or communications of progress or adherence to the mission or vision of the organization. How feedback collected from the marketplace is used to assess the organization's performance and focus employees on common issues. How feedback from employees is utilized to make adjustments in organizational practices to better match the vision and mission of core values. How recognition or celebration or other practices are used to unite employees and reinforce the mission of the organization's values. The compensation or system factors that help to unite workers, and transparency of and teaching of management information and reports.
Alrighty, moving along. The next criteria, your organization's commitment to performance. Now, we all understand how important this is, and we all make sure that we do our best to keep a good balance and to constantly have things in place to gauge our performance and continually strive to improve and sustain. In this section, you want to make sure that you explain how business leaders or owners guide organizational performance by implementing a high competency management practices. You want to explain how the organization or business continually manages performance by establishing things like goals, measuring achievement, and allocating just rewards for those achievements. Some topic ideas that are good to consider in this section of your entry would be rewards and recognition to integrate performance and high character or ethical behavior, samples of advertising or promotional informational materials that you feel particularly exemplify your focus on ethical expression. Some things that you might want to include or consider to support whatever statements you provide in this area would be things such as the planning process that includes timeframes and the organizational levels that participate. Like, so who in your business model participate in putting together these timeframes and planning processes to really help gauge and establish your commitment to performance. You also can include practices and use of a clear measurement to evaluate progress, analyze performance, and adjust plans to accomplish goals. Practices using performance information to encourage and guide motivate are also a good piece that you may want to include to support your statement in this area. The processes or systems that you use to establish individual, team, and department objectives or targets that include some time frames as well as responsibilities. You can also incorporate accountability and compensation systems implemented for high performance. How employees demonstrate their accountability for performance and ethical behavior. You can consider using a unique budgeting or forecasting process that you may have that may not be one that's typically used, but you have found, in addition to containing these unique performance metrics, really help you guys in your organization move forward and continue your commitment to performance within your business model. You can also include how innovation is encouraged in your culture as well as rewarding. So those are things that you really want to focus on. And like Evan has said, and I mentioned earlier, every one of these, you want to make sure that you at least provide 2 examples of the statements, or 2 examples that support the statement that you're making. It's really imperative that you do that because it helps the judge understand what you're trying to articulate, what you're trying to bring across, and showing how your company has a commitment to that specific area for the criteria. So the next one that we're going to talk about is human resource practices, or ethical human resource practice for that matter. In this area, you really want to summarize how the leadership team adopts and implements human resource practices that prepare, continually support and recognize, and provides opportunities for growth of all staff members. Topic areas that you can look at are, to help you exemplify this, are hiring practices that ensure people that are hired based on character and skill sets, unique systems and processes for training and preparing the staff, practices and procedures to resolve ethical issues. Those are really good things that you may use and you can incorporate to support your statements. Any policies or procedures that specifically ensure that employees are treated fairly, respectfully, and the workplace safety is enforced. Some suggested ideas of demonstrating this principle can include, but isn't limited to, how employees are involved in the hiring process, mechanisms or procedures for employee professional development, termination practices that demonstrate respect of the individual, how employees influence organizational practices and decisions. In addition to, you can include operational structures or systems that support the individual employee's ability to perform, things that you have in place or processes that ensure meritorious selection of individuals for assessment and additional responsibilities, like the merits that you have in place for rewarding these procedures and ethical practices. Other practices that may demonstrate the leadership's and or organization's commitment to individual employees are all very, very good examples to include in this section for your commitment to ethical human resource practices.
And last but not least, we have criteria 6. So that primarily focuses on organizational commitment to the community. So we want to see examples of how the leaders transfer their ethical beliefs by their active engagement with their industry and the communities from which the organization derives its customers, workforce, vendors, investors, and governance. So some topic ideas could include examples of your reputation for ethical standards of behavior in the marketplace, along with a list of recognitions or acknowledgments by industry peers, trade associations, or the communities in which you do business. Any contribution of funds or in-kind services to community programs that is consistent with the organization's values and character. How leaders or employees participate in industry organizations and activities to promote best practices. And here, once again, are some suggested ideas for demonstrating this principle with using 2 or more that are required. So examples of programs, contributions, and activities that return value and support your community. How employees are encouraged to and recognized for spending time in community service activities that the organization values. How the company's advertising, operations, risk management, governance, and regulatory compliance behaviors are assessed against proven standards, and proof of achievement with any industry benchmarks for high standards of business excellence. So, if you win, what do you get? Well, first and foremost, you get social media announcements, letting other businesses know that you've won this award, and consumers as well, of course. There'll be a press release announcing your win too. Inclusion in BBB promos in our website as well. our BBB Torch Awards seal. You'll have a Torch Award trophy presentation, an office visit by us here at the BBB. You'll be qualified to enter the International BBB Torch Award for Ethics for 2019. An inclusion in our exclusive 2019 winners video, which we'll put together with you, we'll work with you to create, and that will be something that you can use for future business, of course, to show this recognition that you guys have gotten from us.
Alrighty, so here are just if you guys want to keep up to date with what we have going on, if you want to, stay clear on like updates that we have, things regarding the Torch Awards as we near the deadline for submitting your entries. In addition to, there's this on our YouTube channel. We will upload the recording of this webinar so you can reference at any point in time at your leisure as you develop and put together all the components of your award-winning Torch Awards entry. So we're active on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Snapchat. So yeah, make sure to follow us and keep up to date with everything that we have going on here at your BBB.
Great, and just reiterating once again too, you can communicate or send us an email at communications@bbbemail.org, or you can visit our website go.bbb.org/SF Torch Awards that we mentioned earlier. And just mentioning again that all winners need to maintain their B rating with the BBB as well. So you have, it's about continuing to uphold those values that ethical businesses stand for as well. So it's something that's continual, but it's obviously an honor that you can win as well. So definitely we want to see you put your best foot forward and see the best nominations, the best entries that you can. So with that said, if you have any questions, there's the question bar that you have there that you can type in questions and we can get back to you. If you want us to send you more information, you can also, like I said, send us an email as well that we'll be checking regularly as we get into the thick of things with entries. And you have until April 7th. So get those nominations and entries in.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, just please feel free to let us know if you have any questions now or after. We understand that, there's a lot of things that go into this entry because we want to make sure that we are as fair and unbiased, and making sure that the businesses that are submitting their entries are based fairly on their ethical commitments to all the criteria that we've covered today. So we're going to take a few minutes here. Please let us know if you have any questions, and we really appreciate you guys attending today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stop recording.